New commissioners for Law Reform Commission. CLRC says outsourcing legal service expensive. And Australian PMs 13 arrived to rousing welcome.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining me for Thursday's news. The Constitutional Law Review Commission has completed the required number of commissioners with new appointees sworn in today. The 3 new appointees join members of Parliament Dr. Alan Marat, Jeffrey Komal and ex-officio Commissioner Professor Mange Matui from the UPNG School of Law. Chairman of the Commissioners Joseph Lelang was there to witness the swearing-in ceremony.
Of the 3 new commissioners, one has had experience in the role, while the other 2 are new. With a strong legal background, Gerhard Linge is not new to the role of a CLRC commissioner and says it's an honor to be asked to serve again.
In the commission now, we have a lot of great minds, people with a lot of experience in dealing with those kind of issues. Because when you talk about law, you talk about social issues also. There are issues that affects real people.
His 2 new colleagues, Dr. Fiona Hukula and Reverend Dr. William Longa, are social scientists by profession. Dr. Hukula has been part of the Law Reform Commission in another capacity prior to this appointment.
At the moment, I'm involved in the CEDAW Legislative Review Committee. I've also participated in the Underlying Law Seminar Series, and I contribute to their consultations on various laws and reviews of laws.
Reverend Dr. Longa is currently the principal of the Christian Leaders Training College in Barnes, Chiwaka Province. He says as social scientists, he hopes to ensure that the perception of who we are as a people will be evaluated and strengthened.
If you think of our Melanesian worldview, it's integrated, and there is no separation between the empirical, the non-empirical, the spiritual, the non-spiritual. We all see life holistically. And because of our perception of life holistically, I believe that I can make a contribution in a little way.
The swearing-in ceremony took place at the CLRC chambers and was witnessed by staff, commissioners and Chairman Joseph Lelang.
The government has recognized the critical role of the Constitutional Law Reform Commission, and many departments and agencies of government are now collaborating with the Commission on their law reforms, on the importance of amending or looking at their own legislations to make it relevant.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
At the same occasion, CLRC Chairman Joseph Lelang urged government departments to use CLRC services instead of spending millions on outsourcing law reviews.
Chairman Lelang said the Commission has highly qualified commissioners and staff who are currently reviewing several laws and sees outsourcing as a waste of money.
Institutions of states, they go around engaging very, very expensive lawyers. Many of them are overseas lawyers that have very, very little knowledge about our Constitution, the structure of our Constitution, our country's laws. And they come in and build many laws that when they get into Parliament, Parliament approves it and then later is rescinded again and going back to the drawing board, and we pay them millions of kina.
CLRC Secretary Dr. Eric Kwa agrees.
To engage a private consultant to do a review, it will cost us 150,000. Just to review, not to do consultations, not to have stakeholder engagements, just to write it as a consultant. It costs about 150,000 for an individual. If it's an expatriate, probably up to 300,000. For a local law firm, it will cost us 300,000 to $500,000 to just draft one piece of legislation. For a foreign firm, it will cost about $2 million to draft a law, just to draft a law, not to do consultations, not to engage with the community, and so it's an expensive exercise.
Lelang said currently the Commission is reviewing 30 legislations. 5 of these laws are directly under the legislative working group of the Conference on the Elimination of All Forms of Discriminations Against Women, or CEDAW, which is facilitated by the Commission.
The Constitutional Law Reform Commission is here. We can, we have that mandate, and we should be able to review all those laws, the constitutional and other regulations and enabling legislations that government needs to do. We have the skill set here. And I just want to encourage government departments and agencies to work with the Constitutional Law Reform Commission to reform our laws and to transform our economy and build a kind of society that our Vision 2050 is painting for us, all of us.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
A man accused of threatening to kill Prime Minister Peter O'Neill had his case dismissed by the Waigani Committal Court this morning. It was dismissed because of insufficient evidence presented in court and a lack of evidence supporting the charge. The ruling was handed down by Senior Magistrate Cosmas Bidar.
The accused, Michael Ambrose, also from Pangaea in the Southern Highlands, allegedly posted on social media threats of killing the Prime Minister, Peter O'Neill, in April this year. He was arrested and charged for issuing written threats to kill, a charge under the Criminal Code Act. Since his arrest, Ambrose has been representing himself in court until his case was dismissed today. A statement issued by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill was read out in court today as the main evidence. After reading the statement, Magistrate Bidar said the Prime Minister is a leader and is subjected to public scrutiny. He later asked the police prosecutor if the accused was really capable of killing the Prime Minister and questioned the nature of the threats.
This all happened out of frustration. And on behalf of the electorate, Yalupanga electorate, my people, the 65,000 people, that's the population of Yalupanga, I would like to extend my apology to the Honorable Prime Minister of this country for saying all this.
When dismissing the case, Bidar said the function of the committal court is to consider the totality of evidence and decide if the case continues to a higher court or is settled at the district court. After the ruling, Ambrose apologized to Peter O'Neill for his alleged actions and said the actions were a demonstration of his frustration. Taklagunga, National EMTV News.
Probationary officers Jacqueline Tanda and Joshua Yawija will stand trial at the National Court in Port Moresby. The decision was handed down by Senior Magistrate Cosmas Bidar of the Waigani Committal Court this morning. This ruling came after the two accused submitted Section 96 statements last Tuesday. Section 96 allows accused persons to respond to court rulings and is a requirement of the District Court Act. Taklagunga reports.
After considering the statements from both accused, the committal court identified two issues. The court found that there were two separate names on the initial witness statement, and the police prosecutor failed to serve a copy of the alleged video as court files to the accused. In Yawija's statement, he denied the allegations and said it was the media that blew this story out of proportion. Tanda submitted that she was present when the victim was brought into the Boroko police station, but only heard of the alleged offense when she watched the story on MTV News. The two were accused of having forced a woman to chew and swallow male condoms at the Boroko police station last December. They were charged for abuse of office, deprivation of personal liberty, and committing an indecent act to insult another person. However, the abuse of office and deprivation of personal liberty charges were dropped because the court found that they were improperly charged under the Criminal Code Act. When concluding the ruling, Magistrate Bidar explained to the two accused that though the committal court has committed them to stand trial at National Court, according to PNG law, the public prosecutor will decide whether to file a case at the National Court or not. Thakla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Police have completed investigating files into the death of Nelson Rama, who was allegedly shot by Port Moresby Police last November. Case officers leading the investigations presented the completed files to National Capital District Metropolitan Superintendent Ben Turi this afternoon. The presentation was witnessed by relatives of the late Nelson.
The completed files were 5 centimeters thick and took case officers over 10 months to complete. This case is in relation to the police shootout on 26 November 2015. The deceased and 2 other persons were in a vehicle and they were chased by police officers from Tokarara to Waigani and later into Morata, where gunshots were fired. The next morning there was a confrontation between members of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary and the PNG Defence Force. The confrontation resulted in the damage of 4 police vehicles and the injuring of 2 policemen.
I've lost a son so early in his age. He's a professional tradesman, a mechanic by profession. He was going around together with his army cousin when he was returning from on border duties.
The files will be presented to the Criminal Investigation Division for further investigations before any arrests can be made. However, at the moment, 4 different police units are understood to have been involved in the alleged shootout.
We've been pestering our men, the public, the family members, the soldiers. The incident resulted in the destruction or damaging to a number of police vehicles. I think 4 vehicles were damaged by the soldier. All of us officers were in Buka at the time, police conference, when this incident took place. So it started from a vehicle chase from...
Thakla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission, ICCC, has recently conducted inspections in some of the country's major phone shops. This is in relation to a product recall on the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 by Samsung. ICCC noted that management of the shops visited were notified by the supplier of the recall.
The Samsung Galaxy Note 7 was recalled due to overheating of the battery cell. This was related to a manufacturing fault. The overheating of the battery poses a potential fire or burn hazard to its users. In PNG, the ICCC conducted inspections in some of the major phone shops to identify shops selling the phone. The inspection was also to establish whether retailers and suppliers of the product are aware of the product recall and to inquire on the steps taken by retailers to manage the recall and concerns of consumers that may be affected. At the stores visited by ICCC inspectors, it was noted that Samsung formally advised its distributors on the 3rd of September of its decision to voluntarily replace all Galaxy Note 7 products sold to customers. Management of the shops visited have since removed the Galaxy Note 7 off their shelves and have liaised with the supplier for refund and replacement phones. One shop that sold 3 defective Samsung Galaxy Note 7 phones prior to the product being recalled has offered each of its customers a temporary replacement Samsung J5 smartphone, pending replacement by their supplier. The consumer watchdog has advised the public to report any business houses selling the affected phone using the toll-free number 180-3333. Delhi Waigeno, National EMTV News.
You're with National EMTV News. Coming up after the break, the people of Kabum in remote Morbe say all they want is a road, and Truka Industries flags price rises under proposed rice policy. Stay tuned for details. Welcome back. Health workers in rural centers need to be equipped with the right knowledge to treat and monitor patients with drug-resistant tuberculosis. TB specialist Dr. Randy Moke told MTV News capacity building is needed in all rural health facilities as Port Moresby General Hospital records an increase in TB patients coming from rural areas. Dr. Moke made this statement today while facilitating a week-long training program for health workers to address TB in Central Province.
Dr. Moke admitted that the number of multi-drug resistant tuberculosis patients continues to increase slowly in Central and NCD. Speaking at the training today, Dr. Moke says health workers in rural areas must be equipped with necessary knowledge when dealing with patients on first-line drugs.
With that knowledge, number one in TB is that they will be able to detect suspected drug-resistant TB patients, identify them much earlier, and then start the process of detecting them and basically getting the appropriate specimen.
The workshop is in its fourth day. Most participants are health workers from the Rigo and Kairuku district. Mariano Fuafuo is a lab technician in the Kairuku district. He says more training is needed and health facilities must be supported with better infrastructure to identify and treat TB patients.
A very big need there. So if you're in a greater or in a very big view, we should have more microscope installed in each facility so we can cater for our patients.
The workshop aims to train health workers have a better understanding by improving detection, treatment and develop appropriate care.
It has trained us and now we know what to do with MDR and what treatment to give with the patients.
TB remains a killer in the country despite efforts by the government and health department. Dr. Moke says drastic intervention is needed to address TB.
We need to ensure that provinces like Central Province have the capacity to manage their own drug-resistant TB cases. So that means we need support from all levels of government, down to provincial, down to the local level governments and the communities to support this. We need to cut the transmission.
The workshop is organized by Child Fund PNG and will end tomorrow. Jack Lapave Jr. National MTV News.
Minister for Foreign Affairs and Immigration, Rimbik Pato, held bilateral discussions with Matt Matthews, the U.S. Assistant Deputy Secretary of State for Australia, New Zealand and the Pacific. The bilateral was held this week on the margins of the 71st session of the UN General Assembly in New York. Mr. Matthews said PNG will need to set up programs, including a matrix of implementation through which funding can be sought to address issues of ocean management, including illegal fishing. On APEC 2018 preparations, Minister Pato said the government is mindful of the fall in commodity prices and will take appropriate budgetary measures to ensure preparations are not affected. Matthews assured that the U.S. is ready to support when necessary upon request. The U.S. government will also play a supportive role to the Australians as the lead country assisting PNG in the coordination of security. People in a remote village in the Kaboom district have called on the government to complete a road built near Wasu to ease transportation difficulties. Yalumet in the Deyamos LLG remains landlocked and people continue to struggle for basic health and education services. The area's coffee potential is also being affected. Bethany Herriman with this report.
The only way to get into Yalumet without walking is by plane. It is remote and isolated, one of many villages in the Kaboom district. Though they celebrated independence on the 16th, development hasn't run parallel to the 41 years since 1975. Mothers still need a road to take them to better hospitals to deliver their babies. Yalamut has a high rate of infant maternal mortality.
passing before me pla been facing na stop this pla passing as well come now lo time lo me pla now me play stop some play dine go finish heavy blow play me of same.
It's also a call that stems from opportunities in coffee development that cannot be ignored by any government at all levels. At present, there are 400 coffee bags waiting to be flown to Lae. It is difficult for farmers.
Na mi believe okaman ba yupla saboti mi bla is the backside lo mi bla long kain osem olman meri mi pesta min sa remote area.
Politics aside, the people are now calling on the government to directly intervene and complete a road that's being built at Bit, an area near Wasu which will give the mountain people access to ships traveling directly to Lae.
That's like 2013 and 14. Council one bill na mi play working on bla council and business na mi play working on emba kama on bla business bla mi bla na mi play talk yes na simba funding is like along road along bit Wasu bit to Yalumet na that's like 1 million bla mi bla mi bla rousing two bla machine mi play working kamanta long lusim na business na kamanta lo booster sol mi play short long fun.
In 2013 and 2014, LLGs were allocated 500,000 kina. For Deyamos LLG, they used the money to build a road from Wasu to Bit and then to Yalumet. But after 2014, the government cut back on that 500,000 kina to 100,000 kina. The work on that road has since stopped, and the people are now struggling with third-level airlines. One person pays for a ticket worth 300 kina, but to transport coffee bags and vegetable bags, it becomes more expensive. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lae.
6 participants from Papua New Guinea will be leaving for Japan this week to attend the International Youth Development Exchange Program for 2016. During their stay from September 26 to October 11, the participants will join other youth from countries like Austria, Laos and the Dominican Republic and will visit places like Tokyo and the Shimane Prefecture. The International Youth Development Exchange Program is an interactive project which started in 1994 in commemoration of the marriage of the Crown Prince of Japan. Its purpose is to promote mutual friendship and understanding between Japanese youths and youths from overseas countries whilst promoting bilateral relations. Rice company Truka Industries says it may be forced to lay off its workers if a new rice policy proposed by the government is implemented. Company CEO Greg Worthington-Ayer says the allocation of the 80% quota to a company through this new policy will destroy Trukai.
One cooperative will be
Trukai employs over 1,000 Papua New Guineans. About 700 of them are based in Lae, while the rest are at the other distribution centers around the country. Trukai says these jobs will be at risk.
And effectively they would become redundant as a result.
The impact will also affect the company's 2 major shareholders. Trukai CEO believes there will be a price increase as a result of this policy.
The impact that further goes on to our major shareholders, Sunrise and MTSL.
The possible price increase is expected to hit the consumers hard. Over the last 3 years, Trukai has established a partnership with the local rice farmers. This may over time reduce the price of rice. The company has done extensive trials and have a number of projects around the country that are growing several varieties of rice that they have researched for a number of years. They have also developed what they call short-growing crops, which are confined to a growing season. The work has been carried out in various locations.
Those varieties are good quality and would provide a lower cost over time. They would be blended into the mix for our products, and that in itself I think would help mitigate price increases through inflation over time.
Matha Lewis, National EMTV News, Lae.
Outstanding Papua New Guinean women will be honored tonight at the Pride of PNG Awards ceremony. The City Pharmacy Limited event will be honoring women under categories such as bravery and courage and care and compassion. While there are 6 categories, only 5 will be awarded tonight as there were no clear winners under the environment category. And now looking at our finance news, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.3155 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3080, $0.4005 Australian dollars, €0.2722 euro and 30.56 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, cocoa and copra closed higher, while coffee closed the day lower. Palm oil and copper closed lower, crude oil closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 163.74 points higher. The ASX is trading at 47.34 points higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 48.59 points higher. You're with Thursday's news. We'll have more local news headlines when we come back. Welcome back to the news. The delay by the Electoral Commissioner in formally giving the date of the recounting of Kandep open seat has worried the local member, Don Polier, of security issues. Polier said that Kandep in Enga province is a sensitive area that has its own sensitive issues, and the Electoral Commissioner, Patilius Gamato, failed to inform the parties on the set date. The recounting of the ballot boxes come after a Supreme Court decision on September 6 by a 3-man bench.
Polier was surprised to know from the media that the recounting of the Kandep seat was today. He said the Electoral Commission failed to make known to the parties about the recounting. Polier urged the Electoral Commissioner to be responsible to avoid any security threats.
I'm the Prime Minister, and people of Kandep and Provenga, it is very, very sensitive security issues.
On September 6, the Supreme Court gave the standing order for the Electoral Commission to recount all the ballot boxes for the Kandep seat within 30 days. Yesterday, the lawyer representing Electoral Commission told the one-man Supreme Court judge, Justice Stephen Kasman, that a proper notice was not given out earlier to the parties because they still have 14 days to execute the order. Today, Polier sympathizes with the court for making such decision and urged the Electoral Commissioner to appoint a neutral election manager for the recount.
The organic law on national elections and local level government elections demand him to be transparent on scrutiny issues.
The recounting was supposed to start this afternoon, but was postponed due to a protest march in Wabek town and a burning of a classroom at Wabek Community School. A suspect has been arrested by Wabek police this morning in relation to the burning of a classroom at Wabek Community School, where the recounting of the Kandep open seat will be. Wabek Provincial Police Commander George Kakas said the motive behind the burning of the classroom is yet to be established. However, he said the recounting will still be held at the Wabek Community School in a different classroom. Basinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Over 217 patients have been registered for the eye care test and surgery in Kavieng, New Island Province. Officer in charge of the eye unit in Kavieng, Shirley Lallen, told MTV News that numbers are expected to increase in coming days. This program is delivered in partnership by the New Island Provincial Government and the Fred Hollows Foundation. Fabian Hakelitz files this report from Kavieng.
Since this morning, many patients with eye problems have flocked to Kavieng General Hospital to register themselves for consultation. According to the eye unit, 217 patients have registered, with this number expected to increase. As of this morning, 9 eye surgeries were conducted.
In 2014, we did about 154 surgery. In 2015 in Kavieng, we did 203 cases. Okay, at the beginning of this year, we did about 100 cases at Namatanai. And for this year, we have about 217 cases on our list, waiting list. And we just started, so probably by the end of the surgery, we'll know how many we will come across.
The program is jointly delivered under the theme Reducing Blindness in New Ireland.
Kavieng Hospital itself and New Ireland Provincial Government and New Ireland Provincial Administration and mainly Fred Hollows Foundation. I think Fred Hollows Foundation meets most of the costs of the surgical outreach programs in New Ireland.
The Fred Hollows Foundation has paid several visits to New Ireland Province, conducting eye care screening and surgeries since 2014.
And we do screening, like we do vision testing and identify eye conditions, and if there is need for surgery, they refer to the ophthalmologist to do the surgery. But if there's any other infection, we treat them as outpatient, give them medication.
And from its screening, 70% of blindness in PNG is cataract related, which is an eye condition.
The consultations that we've seen, a lot of cataract patients showed up, so they are seen and prepare them for surgical cases. So most of them are cataract and other extraocular cases.
The operation will end on October 1. In Kavieng, New Ireland Province, Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Goodman Fielder International launched a new brand of rice called Scale Rice in Port Moresby today. Marketing manager Jeremy Fry said the rice will be on sale in GFI outlets in Port Moresby by Monday. Eric Harupma with this report.
Scale Rice is one of Goodman Fielder's latest product brands apart from its famous Medellin margarine and Twisties product brands that sponsored television programs in Vocal Fusion, Medellin Moments and FM 100's SMS Blast. The brand Scale is derived in pidgin language synonymous to awesome or cool brand of rice in English. It was introduced in February this year by Goodman Fielder following research and dialogue with 753 consumers throughout the country.
Talking to people about what they like about rice. We spent some time at the back of Marata, talking to the settlement guys out there about what they like about rice. We did blind tasting, so we had prototypes made. We actually had 10 prototypes made, and then we trialled all of our rice in blind tasting around the country.
Like other rice brands such as Jasmine Rice imported from Thailand, Scale Rice is also imported from Vietnam and packaged in the country. This initiative paves way for large-scale rice farming and processing in the country, which benefit local farmers engaged in the agriculture sector.
The term we'll be looking at putting a manufacturing facility in. We've just bought a new block of land in Ley, so we're looking to spend about 200 million kina in the country on a new factory, which is going to be quite exciting. And we want to include rice as a long-term part of the play with that land.
With its potential for economic growth through agriculture sector, Goodman Fielder is pledged to build a facility worth 200,000 kina in Ley Morbe province. This will encourage local farmers to grow their own rice to be sold and processed locally.
To rice farming, it's certainly something that we're not going to discount. We're always looking to help out the agriculture sector, and being a diversified food company like us, I think it makes sense from an end-to-end point of view to get into agriculture as well.
Eric Harupma, National EMTV News.
Paradise Foods Limited today proudly announced its support towards the Miss Pacific Islands pageant PNG to be staged on October 22nd. Under the Queen Emma chocolate brand, Paradise Foods Limited, a first-time contestant sponsor, supports Miss Lois Ilave as Miss Queen Emma.
18-year-old Lois Ilave, a first-year law student at the University of Papua New Guinea, has a fitting message on PNG's 41st independence anniversary.
It does have a lot to be proud about, and so what really sparked my interest to take part in this and what I want to stand for in this pageant is that, Papua New Guinea, we're a beautiful country, culture so diverse, so beautiful, and so rich. But Papua New Guinean pride goes far beyond just the traditional attire. It goes beyond the singing, the dancing. It is also an attitude that I believe every single Papua New Guinean possesses. The message that I wanted to bring across, and so they chose me as their contestant for this year, and I feel very honored that they've placed their trust in me as the youngest contestant. Age might cause people to doubt, but I am very confident from their faith in me, and I really appreciate that they have trusted me to carry their name and to also do my best in the pageant this year.
Miss Ilave is of mixed Gulf and Malaysian parentage. Being the youngest running contestant, Lois says she is ready to take on the challenge of the quest.
The message that I wanted to bring across, and so they chose me as the contestant for this year, and I feel very honored that they've placed their trust in me as the youngest contestant. Age might cause people to doubt, but I am very confident from their faith in me, and I really appreciate that they have trusted me to carry their name and to also do my best in the pageant this year.
Deputy Chairperson of Miss Pacific Islands pageant PNG, Molly O'Rourke, thanked Paradise Foods Limited and Miss Ilave for paying interest in the pageant this year. She added that 2016 was a rather challenging year for the pageant to get sponsors. Lorraine Gabina, National EMTV News.
Chukai Sports is up next, and we feature the arrival of the Australian Prime Minister's 13 team in Port Moresby. Stay tuned for that.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The Australian Prime Minister's 13 arrived in Port Moresby today at the Jacksons International Airport. They were greeted to a large crowd waiting outside the airport.
Many came as early as 9 a.m. this morning to see the NRL superstars in person. After hours of waiting, they got to see their stars as the Australian team, led by Captain Greg Inglis, made their way out. Crowd shouting, "Inglis, Inglis," as he quickly walked towards the team bus. Security staff struggled to contain the huge crowd that ran towards the players. The Australians were in awe as they witnessed the crowd reactions. They will be visiting different places in Port Moresby tomorrow before the match on Saturday at the National Football Stadium. Elijah Lovett, National EMTV Sports.
In netball, the PNG Under 21 netball team, the Junior Peppers, are quietly confident on the eve of their departure to the World Youth Junior Championship qualifiers in Auckland, New Zealand. With the inclusion of 3 senior international players, Jepet Tulapi in goal attack, defender Serena Ovia and Courtney Abel, the team has a strong core. Jeremy Mogi reports.
Whilst the majority of the squad have had relatively little international experience, the coaching and management of the side believe that with the senior international experience of the players, there will be added stability to the squad.
They've got a lot of experience, and we are glad to see that even at training they're taking leadership and taking ownership of that and helping their sisters, prepare for these World Cup qualifiers.
Head coach Unai Sirokora believes that players like Mermaids Jeffet Tulapi and Alotau's Courtney Abel lend valuable leadership qualities as well. And this is something also backed up by assistant coach Renage Molina. Molina, a former international representative herself, sees the leadership group as being extremely valuable as the Junior Peppers hope to qualify for the World Cup.
Their development has been really fast, very matured, and I think for us we are counting on them to give us a good feedback to the team.
Tulapi, a high school student in Port Moresby's Kila Kila Secondary School, will provide a cut-in and physical presence in attack for the Under-21 side. Her prowess, utilized during her domestic side Snacks Mermaids' grand final loss against Monia Paramana. Tulapi carrying that form into the Nations Cup. While for Courtney Abel, her vision in mid-court will be sorely tested against strong Pacific sides. Serena Ovia's height in defense and her quick movement will be very much needed against teams like Fiji and New Zealand. And of the 3 senior representatives, Ovia has less experience than her counterparts.
The important thing is making sure that our girls are mentally ready, because the competition will be tough, and it's important that we focus on our own game as well, making sure that we have the right combinations. And it's going to take a lot of effort from these players, but we have all the confidence with these young girls that they will go out there and do PNG proud.
From a team perspective, however, the squad appears relaxed, but anxious to get the job done.
It's all about commitment, and I guess these girls wanted it, so they've really worked really hard for the last 6 months or so to be where they are, and that's the result of their fitness level, and that's the result of what they're going to achieve.
The team will depart on Friday for Auckland. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
Port Moresby Rugby League will stage their 67th Grand Final this weekend at the National Football Stadium. POM RFL Chairman Dr. James Naipau thanked SB Brewery for their continuous support for the last 63 years.
The women's grand final match will be held on Saturday as a curtain raiser to the PM's 13 match. Paga Panthers will go up against defending champions Royals. In the juniors under-20 division, brothers will go head-to-head against Souths. Hall of Flyers will play the first grand final against Paga Panthers in the men's A-grade division. Winners in the A-grade division will go home with a whopping 20,000 kina, while winners in the women and junior division will play off for 7,000 kina. Chairman Dr. James Naipau says rugby league in the nation's capital has come a long way since its early days.
67 years of coming and living and standing like this despite hardship shows that kind of things they want to do. But then for us to go in the next 20 years or so for PRL, is that PRL must now go into some kind of business activities. So we are planning on that part.
He thanked SP Brewery for their continuous support in sponsoring Port Moresby Rugby League for the last 63 years.
So we've been there together since then, and I think, and because of that, through their sponsorship, I think PRL has come this far. So we thank them very much for that.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
Chukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back. Following the recent violence during the preliminary finals of the Intercity Cup semi-finals, PNG Volleyball Federation's newly elected president, Kila Dick, said in the Code of Volleyball, such behavior will not be tolerated. He said volleyball is a friendly sport which encourages respect and good sportsmanship should be maintained.
President Kiladik urged all volleyball players in the country to uphold the meaning of sportsmanship and not succumb to emotions and exert violence in any match arena or attack another player verbally or physically. He said PNG Volleyball has strict regulations in this regard, and under his leadership, those regulations will be applied when and where necessary.
There should not be any intimidation against the opponent. And this has been a practice that has been going on, so as the president, that's going to be eliminated. I will not, tolerate those kind of individual nonsense behavior. You have to respect the opponent, and when you play a good game, you compliment someone rather than saying, actions that portrays not portrays a good image to the opponent and to your fellow players.
He added respecting one's opponent is important, and verbal insults thrown at each other by certain players during matches at the National Championship last week was unacceptable.
There must be respect in all aspects of any sport, and I saw that was really bad for the sport, so we will have to eliminate that. That's the reason why I'm talking about this sports ministry, is to inbuild character, inbuild self-esteem and self-respect. We've got to respect the opponents in whatever ways. If we win, and because we played very well, then we should be honored and respect with that honor. If we are defeated, same thing should apply. And I want to, as the president, I want to, discourage those kind of mentality and those kind of actions. So it's not a good way of, promoting our sport.
Kiladik started a ministry to tackle such issues and hopes more can approach the sport with respect. Dina Rose Raiko, National EMTV Sports.
The FIFA Local Organizing Committee is working around the clock as the date for the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup nears. 4 p.m. tomorrow will be exactly 50 days to go before the first match between Sweden and Korea kicks off at the Sir John Guy Stadium. And that's a wrap for True Kai Sports. Up next, your weather details for the next 24 hours.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield, with doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow: in the southern region, fine in Port Moresby, although cloudy at times, fine in Daru and Kerema, some showers in Alotau and few thundery showers in Popondetta. In the Momase region, fine weather in Lae, Medang and Vanimo, and passing showers in Wewak. In the New Guinea Islands region, fine in Lorengau, thundery showers in Kavieng and Kimbe, a shower or two in Kokopo and Rabaul, and passing thundery showers in Buka. And in the Highlands region, brief thundery showers, then areas of morning fog in Mount Hagen, and brief thundery showers in Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield, with doing with Dulux.
Now recapping our main stories for tonight. New commissioners for Law Reform Commission. CLRC says outsourcing legal service expensive, and Australian PM13 arrived to rousing welcome. And that has been the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Helen Sayer. Pleasant viewing. Good night.